Mr. Sutton, hello. Diet fatigue, post that. Oh, they're all on. What's the matter with you? I bet you're glad to be back in this lovely weather. Yeah, what could be worse? Could be in a hurricane, I suppose, which is nice. So yeah, this is going to be a Q&A, which was supposed to be done yesterday morning, as normal, but with work and bits and pieces, it's been a bit difficult. So we are going to do it now instead. So if anyone's got any questions, fire them across. If not, I'm going to talk about some bits and pieces that come up this week and a few other bits as well. But yeah, I'd rather answer your questions. My questions, I had a couple. Actually, I don't know if Ashley's on there, isn't he? Yeah, I answered your question a little bit on our when we did our update. We were talking and discussing around the fear of fat, so the fear of gaining body fat, especially when you're going through like a phase where you're going to start massing. So, which is what we're kind of doing at the moment, and it's something that I think everyone struggles with. I definitely did for a little while, and in order to get past that, you have to, I think, go through that process a few times in order to know that it's not, you're not just going to stay like that forever. So a good wording for it was, I think, coined by Steve Hall, which was adipose phobia. I don't know if it's a true word or a real word, but yeah, the fear of gaining body fat. And we have to expect when we are going through a massing phase, we're in obviously a surplus to some extent. We shouldn't be in too much of a surplus that we are just scoffing our face with completely everything that we see. There has to be some kind of control there, and there's more and more research coming now and evidence to back up the fact that you don't need to be in a ridiculous amount of surplus in order to build muscle. In fact, you don't need to be in a surplus to build muscle, but it makes it easier, obviously. So yeah, for that reason, we need to just be a bit more conservative with our massing, I think, a bit smarter with it, so that when we come to diet, we don't have that fat to lose. It just means that we just got to work harder when we diet, so yeah, for that reason. I can't remember what you asked me as well. You asked me something else around something. I can't remember. I'm sure I've got a picture of it actually. So that was one of my questions during this week. Where's the other one gone? Just going to bring it up. But if anyone's got any other ones, you can just fire them across at the moment. To do with anything, it doesn't have to be to do with nutrition. It could be anything. Primer block, that's the one. Yes, I've got it here, mate. I've got it here. Yeah, so we talk about doing like a primer phase, which is something that again was kind of adapted and taken from. I think a few different people have come up with this concept before in the past, but they use it in different formats. And in essence, all it is to be able to give your body a period of time where we then reset everything into its normal set point for where you're at that time. So when we go through like a prolonged diet period, we obviously move our body set point down a little bit and we start to adjust to where it is at that point. So we lose body fat, we get leaner, and our set point moves. And then we adjust to that, and the body's quite good at doing that. So then when we then want to go through, say, and this works in two ways. So you can do it to a massing phase, or you can do it to a diet phase. And it's basically, in essence, giving yourself a period of time to adjust to where you're at. So in terms of your body fat percentage, your set point, and everything that goes along with it. Also giving your hormones, hunger hormones, all the other like testosterone and cortisol, a chance to kind of settle out as well. And then you're primed, as the word would give away, in order to go through where you want to go next, whether that's body fat, getting leaner, dieting again, or whether you want to go through some massing. How you do that is very individual, I think. It's not like you must just do this and that's how it works. there'll be different processes and people will work it in different ways, and some people won't bother doing it, but I think it's a great actual structure in order to put into your training rather than just jumping from one thing to the next to the next to the next. We seem to miss out the whole kind of maintenance phase of dieting, and if you think about it, maintenance is probably the most important phase for us to be comfortable with, because otherwise we're forever dieting and then we go like, fuck it, I'm massing now, and then you diet again and then you'll be like, oh, bored of this, I'm a mass now. And how many times do you hear people do that? All the time, and no one gets comfortable like within a maintenance phase. And it's not to say you can't make progress during a maintenance phase. Like, I think maybe the terminology needs to be changed in order to make it sound like it's not as boring as it sounds, because you can still get stronger, you can still improve your technique, you can still improve like recovery. So there is a lot of benefits to being in a maintenance phase, and being able to do that, take away some stress of dieting, take away like the thought process behind like, well, I've got to eat, tracking food. You've got more flexibility in terms of food options. So I think there's a lot of benefits in order to doing something like that before you go through a phase of dieting or before you go through a phase of massing, in order to just prime everything, get everything prepped and ready to go. So that's my kind of reasoning behind a priming phase or a maintenance phase. And yeah, it just gives you a chance to kind of get away from the higher volumes of training, enjoy more flexibility of food, and just enjoy being at that point where you don't have to think about what you're doing. I hope that makes sense. So yeah, cool. What else did I put on here? What was I going to talk about? Diet fatigue, especially for me at the moment. I am coming into like the 4th week of a mini cut, and I have been consuming around about 1,000 plus calories less than what I should be doing and a maintenance, and that sounds crazy, but yeah, I don't really, that's what I wanted to say about diet fatigue. So when you go through a period of a mini cut, it's only a short period in time, like 4 weeks, and then you should have, if you've come off the back of say a phase of maintenance or massing, your diet fatigue shouldn't be too much, and it shouldn't really come into it until about like say week 3 or 4, and I haven't really felt it until probably about now. So I'm starting to feel the fatigue, but I think that is also due to workload as well. So work stress is trying to take a part in that. So I find that you should have enough in sort of reserves in order to get through a mini cut pretty much all the way without struggling with any diet fatigue. But it's kind of hit that point now for me where I'm quite good at the food in terms of structuring it out, but I would say, fatigue-wise, I can start to feel it a little bit in the training sessions, and they're suffering as such, but not as bad as they have done in the past. So I will be a little bit more clever around the training and auto-regulate the training. So what I mean by that is, if I've got something written down in terms of a load and it doesn't feel great under the bar, then I will just adjust that as necessary in order to still maintain my volume, but not crash out on the sets or hurt myself or do anything else stupid like that. So they're my main reasons for that. But diet fatigue is real, and it's probably going to get a little bit more this week as we go into the final week of this little cut, and then deload, and I will be maintenance, and then possibly do another little mini cut, which is exciting to see. Definitely some progress there. So that's my kind of process at the moment, what I'm going through. Who else is on there at the moment? No, Mr. Satan. Epic, man. Good. I don't know if any of you got any questions at all, because I haven't got many more on here. Oh. What's that on there? When might you introduce a mini cut? Nice, mate. So when might we go through a mini cut or start to diet? And I would say when you get roughly, I base it for myself around 10 to 15% above like a stage weight for me. So I would work it out on that. For other people, I would then base that on an amount of their, like how much body fat we're happy with gaining in a certain period of time. So if, for example, we go through a massing phase and we check in obviously weekly and we assess what the gains are that we're making. So if we're making like, I don't know, trying to increase our lean body mass by 1% each week. So we get to a point where we look at the pictures and we see the measurements and we think, right, maybe we're just holding a little bit too much fat now. And at that point, we would then look at going, right, let's introduce a mini cut to try and reduce it again back down to around about, I don't know, 5% of where we were. And then from there, we're in a better position to then go again through a massing phase or maintenance for a while, decide on what we're doing training wise, and then maybe mass or cut again. So it's all very much based on the individual, but I would, as a rule of thumb, try and put a cap on either end. So in terms of how lean we're going, and then also the amount of mass, but when with that body fat as well, we want to try and keep that in check. Gone are the days, I think, of the perma bulk type bulking bro thing, which is I think an excuse sometimes that people use just to be able to eat food and not be in shape, lazy as such. And I've been there and done it, like, yeah, I'm bulking. Like, it's such a shit term as well, it's such a shit word. I think it just sounds like, yeah, just rubbish. So massing or gaining or something like that, you know, lean tissue building, I don't know, anything that's better than that is a better word. So that whole phase hopefully is dying out, hopefully, where you just go mental for the food. I think we can just keep things in check a little bit, and then when we go through a mini cut, like, you're quite responsive to it. Like, I found this mini cut that we're doing at the moment, I'm very responsive to it, like seeing the weight drop very nicely in terms of a steady rate over the first 3 weeks. It's plateaued now a little bit, which is like annoying. And I know I always tell people, like, oh, don't worry about the scales, it's all right. You can't really rely on them all the time, and then you've got to look at other areas. But I do understand and appreciate it is annoying when you get on them and you're like, what the fuck haven't you moved? Like, so yeah, but fingers crossed tomorrow we might drop under. Who knows? But yeah, that's when I would look at introducing a mini cut, just to when we reach our highest point of our range of body fat where we want to be, and that's very much dictated by how far the person might want to push it. So some people freak out when they eat a cake or something, like, oh, I need to mini cut. No, don't need to do that. Like, just relax. and like I was saying to you the other day, actually, that's about the switch from dieting into massing, and I struggle like hell with trying to make that switch, especially at the beginning, from eating food that is like no calories but massive into food that is lots of calories but small. So I struggle with that quite a bit, but yeah, getting a lot better with it now, making that switch across. And I think a few people have the same issues. You've got to get in the mindset of, I need to eat as much food as possible for as little calories. And then when you mass, you don't need to do that, and you need to eat all the full fat versions. You need to eat like the spreads, the butters, the sauces, have milk in your coffee, like, yeah, just like, or cream, I don't know what people have. But yeah, so there is that slight, and you should enjoy those things as well. You should be at a point where that is like your time to enjoy those kinds of things, go out for meals, be more flexible. Not saying we can't do these things when we diet, but there is obviously a little bit less flexibility available, so we have to take advantage of it while we can. So yeah, hope that made sense, man. I always think that people ask questions, I'll answer it, and then I'll go off like a tangent. Yeah. So anyone else got any other questions while they're on? There's some other people on here. Mr. Ollie, Neil. Neil the Shredder. Mikey. What's up, Mikey? Yeah. What exactly are micronutrients? How important are they? Oh, Neil. So, obviously, you know from me talking and us talking, we are looking at our calories as the main bulk of what we need to do, and then we've got our macronutrients, which is proteins, fats, carbs, alcohol, and fibres in there, technically carbohydrate, and then we have our micronutrients, so all our vitamins, minerals, which in essence we want to be trying to make sure that we tick those boxes as much as possible. So ideally getting it from your food sources, so things, the main ones being like vitamin D, vitamin C you'll get anyway, vitamin B, B12, vitamin A, K, and then you've got all your like potassium, sodium, like all your salts basically. So we want to be trying to, and magnesium, so the whole list of different types of minerals and vitamins that are important for the processes that are happening within the body, and some more so than others. So you want to be trying to get as many of them from your food as possible, and you probably will if you have an intake that is made up of majority you need non-processed food, fresh produce, vegetables, protein sources, and dairy if you like dairy, or if you can have it, then you will hit that anyway. However, if not, then that's when you look at supplementation in terms of especially fish oils is probably the one where if you don't eat a lot of fish, oily fish, then it's probably a good thing to do that. Get some of the capsules, and vitamin D, because you've seen the weather, you don't get any sun. I think the majority of us in the UK are deficient somewhat in vitamin D. So that's not just like when we're sunny, we're pretty much covered up anyway. So we have like our hands on show and our face, and that's pretty much it. So we need like pretty much full body exposure to it in order to get for it to work. So if you can't, then I would supplement vitamin D, definitely. And the rest of them, you probably get enough of it, like vitamin C tablets. Just get enough from your food. The rest of it, yeah, you'll hit that anyway, so I wouldn't even bother. But yeah, micronutrients, there's probably a massive list I can send you if you want, but the main ones are like the important vitamins that people talk about. I hope that makes sense, dude. But good question, man. Good question. I take it you've been listening to some of those podcasts. Cool. Just having a look. Don't know if anyone's got any other ones they want to ask. If not, I might shoot off. I was supposed to train tonight, and guess what? Sacked it off. Absolute rebel. Listened to my body actually. Oh yes. Should food be weighed raw or cooked, or is it the weight? Is the weight different? Negligible. Good question. I think it depends on the food that you're cooking. So a lot of times people might have like cooked weights for protein sources like chicken, beef, etc., and then raw weights for things like rice and sweet potatoes, stuff like that. I would go raw weight. If you try and do like the cooked weight for rice, you end up with fucking loads, way too much. So I might just go, I would probably split it like that. But then as long as you're tracking it correctly and you're monitoring it, shouldn't make too much difference. But usually that's how I would work it. So like cooked for the lean protein sources, and then raw for like rice, vegetables, etc. Just because then you're adding fluid to them, so then they'll change the weight difference, which will give you a different weed. And so that's how I'd work it. Some people probably do it differently, but think technically that's the right way. Someone will probably pull me up on that. No, you should weigh them all like cooked. Oh, yeah, no. Apart from, I think I buy like the rice packets because I'm lazy as fuck, and I just put them in the microwave, and they're like partly cooked, partly not. So, but I just scan them and put them in anyway. And then as long as you're consistent, I use the same ones pretty much all the time, so it doesn't make a difference. Yeah. Cool. Nice. Good questions, I like this. Sunday evening's a good time to do this, I think. Yeah. Because there's nothing on TV. TV's just shocking anyway at the moment. Yeah, I was supposed to train tonight, but I worked today and yeah, just had I don't really like training in the evenings, and then it was just one of those things where the weather outside, you're just like, oh fuck this, I'm just going to go home. So yeah, it happens to all of us if you ever feel like that. Not machines. Who's that? Midsummer Murders. Oh my god, run. Oh, we have got to go. I've got to go, sorry. Midsummer Murders is on. I didn't even know that was still on TV. See what I mean? Shit TV. Better than like Antiques Roadshow or something. That used to be on Sundays, wasn't it? I'd always be hungover, and like Antiques Roadshow theme tune would come on. I'd just be like, oh man, why is this on TV? You'd just be hanging like that. Oh. NFL, that's got to be even worse, isn't it? Like bloody hours and hours of just adverts. Oh man, yeah. Antiques Roadshow. Shocking programme. Yeah, reminds me of the old days. Cool, it's good. Right, I'll let you get on with your Sunday evenings, and thank you very much for tuning in. Really appreciate it, and I really genuinely enjoy doing this, so thanks a lot. Yeah, I just don't do it for any other reason, just enjoy doing it, so thank you. And hopefully we'll do another one next week, but it'll be possibly back on a Saturday, but if not, I think this is a good time to do it. Cheers, Mikey, man. Awesome. Have a great week and enjoy your Sunday.